Hi guys, a very good afternoon to all of you. So guys, we are done with a CAT exam a couple of days back. I'm sure you've got your analysis from BYJU'S Exam Prep, and you would know by now where you stand or what expectation you can have from the CAT exam. But now that CAT is over, what is next in store for you? What more can you do? What are the other exams that are lined up for you? So let's quickly take a look at what are these exams, what are the exam patterns, and what should be the score that you should be targeting in these exams. So that's what all this session is about. So I'm going to talk about what are the coming exams in the next few weeks and what will be the exam pattern, and if there are any dates which are important with respect to the exam, I'm going to talk about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next set of exams. Right. So what's next in store for you? The first exam coming your way is MICAT. But before we get into MICAT, please remember NMAT was the first exam that started. And I'm sure all of you know this. NMAT is not a one-day exam. It is not a 2-day or a 3-day exam also. It is an exam which goes on for about 2.5 months. So NMAT started, I think, in the month of October, if I'm not mistaken. It's still ongoing. So I will talk about that. Keep in mind that is completely happening every day. That exam is happening every day. So that's a different ballgame altogether. But as far as exams which happened on few days, 1 or 2 days concerned, the first exam that is coming our way after CAT is MICAT. So this MICAT exam is basically for MICA, Mudra Institute of Communications. Basically it's an Ahmedabad campus, one of the top institutes when it comes to marketing. So for MICA we are talking about MICAT, and the exam for MICAT happens twice in a year. This year, the 2 times or the 2 dates on which the exam is going to happen, the first date, as you can see, is 3rd of December, just about 3 days or 3 days away. I think today is Tuesday, so the next exam is going to happen on Saturday. And the second exam is going to happen on 28th of January. Now, it's something which is very important and informative, interesting about this exam is they will release these scores for the students who wrote on the December 3rd by the end of December, or probably the first week of January. So you can decide whether the score is good enough or not and then apply for the second exam. So it is not that you need to write both the exams. They will consider the best performance out of the 2 exams that you have. So, and that's very cleverly they have made sure that you get to know what is your performance before the second exam happens. And when you get to know the result of the first exam, the application for the second exam will still be open. So you can apply once again if you're not satisfied with your score. So that's as far as your MICAT exam goes, right? The next exam, as I already told you, is NMAT. NMAT has started long time back. Now the date for you to remember is the last day on which the exam will be conducted is 19th of December, which means all of these days the NMAT exam is happening. Please keep in mind, 19th is the end point. But you can write the exam on any of these days. I'm sure quite a few of you would have already taken the first attempt, but if you have not, please make sure that you write few mocks for NMAT, because NMAT is not similar to CAT at all. Guys, you need to be much more faster in NMAT with respect to CAT, and it's a different idea. It's a different kind of an exam. So going to NMAT without writing your mocks is not at all recommended. It's suicidal. So if you're serious about NMAT, write at least 6 to 7 mocks of your NMAT. It's a time, obviously there is sectional time limit for NMAT. I'm going to talk about the exam structure, but you need to understand that it is an exam which has solvable questions, easier questions compared to CAT, but of course the time is much more shorter with respect to CAT. Let's move on. The next exam is going to be SNAP. SNAP this year is going to happen 3 times. And all the 3 times it's happening in December itself. You can see December 2022, the first SNAP exam is happening on 10th, the second is on 18th, and the third is on 23rd. So if you notice very intelligently, they have put one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday, and one on a weekday, depending upon what kind of a student wants to take the exam when. There are some students who can't take the exam on weekdays, some students who can't take the exam on weekends. So depending upon what type of a student you are, what is your preference, you have all the 3 options. So that's very, very nice of them. And you can write all 3. So you can write the SNAP exam 3 times if you want. Of course, you have to pay the fees 3 times, but the best of the 3 scores will be considered. Right, so that's how your SNAP exam is. I'll talk about SNAP exam, the model of it, a little bit later. Moving on. Then we have IIFT, again, the exam for the college of IIFT, single college, again one of the very, very famous exams in the country, happening on December 18th. So here you need to understand that there is a clash of IIFT and SNAP. If you notice, SNAP is also on 18th, one of the exams, and you have an IIFT exam also on 18th. So I'm pretty sure students who are writing both the exams will be writing IIFT because it happens only once, so they will definitely write IIFT on 18th, and they will choose to write SNAP on the other 2 days, right? So that's typically what students do. In fact, that's what we recommended the students, because you will definitely, if you want to write both, obviously that is not possible on 18th. So you'll have to choose your 10th and 20 or 23rd or both for SNAP and stick with IIFT for 18th, right? So this is as far as your IIFT exam goes. Then we have one of the biggest, the second biggest exam. The biggest is CAT, that's over. The second biggest MBA exam is for XLRI, and that exam is ZAT. It's not just for XLRI, there are a lot of other colleges, but of course the biggest, the behemoth of this ZAT exam is your XLRI Jamshedpur. But now XLRI has 2 campuses, one is in Jamshedpur and the other one is, I think, Noida. They've opened a Noida campus also. They're doing both. Of course, XLRI Jamshedpur has been one of the top stellar colleges, top 4, top 5, but even today we have the Noida campus being doing decently well. So they are quickly, it's established very recently, but they are doing a good job of the Noida campus. I'll not be surprised that if it picks up the rankings in the next few years, right? When do we start getting calls for NMIMS? Pulkit, the NMIMS exam, as I said, the date will end in on December 19th. So you can start expecting the calls from the January 1st, 2nd weeks. Okay, by December end also, if they give the calls, I'll not be surprised. But typically December end to January 1st week, that is a time horizon that you can start expecting the calls, right? Okay, so that's ZAT. And now one interesting thing about ZAT is, like CAT, they have a very standard format, very standard date. So CAT happens always on the last Sunday of November, correct? Similarly, ZAT conducts it always on the first Sunday of January. However, they are very nice people. This year, the Sunday happens to be 1st of January, so they didn't want to mess up your New Year Eve, so they want to let you guys party, so that you can. They shifted the exam to 8th this year because of that reason. So normally this is what we have observed. Whenever the Sunday happens to be on the 1st of January, they are nice people. They shift it to the next Sunday, but otherwise it's always the first Sunday of January, right? CAT response sheet, Ansari, should be coming out in 10 days. So from the CAT exam. So typically 7 to 10 days is the time frame. CAT happened on 27th. So add 3 days, that's 30, another 7 days. So by December 7th or 8th, you can expect to get your CAT response sheet. Okay, there were times where the CAT response sheet came out in 5-6 days also. So it will be anywhere between 7 to 10 days is my expectation. Yogesh, the CMAT date, I'm not sure yet. I believe it's not yet announced. We'll have to wait, but it will not happen in December, of course, or January. It might be happening in February itself. So we'll have to wait. Last year it happened very late, but this year I think things are happening on time. So we can expect the dates to be in February, somewhere around February or March. Okay, I've got Pulkit Agarwal saying, I got 258 in NMAT. Can I expect call from NMIMS Mumbai? Yeah, definitely, Pulkit. 258 is an awesome score. Frankly, if you ask me, 258 is a very, very good score. So my expectation for NMIMS Mumbai cutoff will be in the range of 237, 238. So you are far higher than the expected cutoff. So don't worry about it. You will be easily making it to the interview round. Okay, good. Right, let's move on. TISSNET is another very good exam. TISSNET is an entrance exam for a college called TISS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. I don't know how many of you know about this institute, but this is one of the top institutes if you want to get into 2 serious professions. One is HR, the other is economics. their economics course, the Bachelor of Arts in Economics and their HR courses are extremely well regarded throughout the industry. So a lot of very good students who want to specialize in these courses end up writing this TISS exam. As of now, we expect it to be in February. The dates are not yet out. That's the reason why you can see everything is blank. The date is not yet known, but it could be anywhere in the 2nd to 3rd week of February. So that's the score. All right, that's the date. All right, MICAT 1, I already told you, Vasundhara, it's happening on the 3rd of December. That's on Saturday, the coming Saturday. I already spoke. In fact, I started with MICAT. I think you joined a little bit late, so you missed that part. The first MICAT is on 23rd, on 3rd, and the second MICAT I think is on 28th Jan, if I remember the date correctly. Let's quickly take a look at it. Yeah, it's on 28th January. So these are the 2 dates for MICAT, right? Right. So let's take a look at each one of these exams very quickly, and that will be the end of my session. As I said, it's not a long session, but I'm going to talk about the paper pattern for each one of them. Okay, Sujay, I was in the second slot. Vasundhara, I don't know if there is a session for MICAT. I think there is one session tomorrow on strategy for MICAT around 3 o'clock itself. Right, so I think there is one session tomorrow. Guys, we are going to conduct a lot of these strategy sessions for all of these exams. So if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel, as well as click on the bell icon so that you get the notification. We will constantly keep doing these sessions, almost 3 to 4 a week. So a lot of information is going to come your way, and not just information. We're going to take questions, we're going to solve questions, we're going to talk about paper pattern, we're going to talk about paper strategy, what should be the way that you should go forward for a particular exam. So be in tune with us, be subscribed onto our channel, follow us on Instagram too, because we are very active on Instagram. A lot of information is being disseminated through the to the Instagram channel also. So these are the 2 primary channels that I would ask you guys to follow us on to get all the exam updates as well as sessions for practice. Okay, right, so let's move on. Let's take a look at MICAT. As I said, best of the 2 attempts will be considered. I told you that there are 2 attempts. Now, the MICAT exam has 3 sections. When you go to the exam on December 3rd, you'll be having 3 sections. Section A is psychometric section, which will have 150 questions. And that's about 30 minutes. You will have another 30 minutes for section B called descriptive section. It will have 4 questions. Now this is very unique. Not many MBA entrance exams do you see where you have to type the answer. I mean, when you say theta in CAT or ZAT, you know it's just a number that you're typing. Here the entire essay has to be typed. It's like typing in an essay for you. So the questions typically would be asking you to make an argument in favor of or against something. They want to see how good you are in writing. They also want to see your idea. So there are different types of questions that you can come across. One type of question could be, they'll give you a topic and they ask you to write points in favor of it or write points against it. Or another type of question that you can come across is, they'll give you 4 images on the screen and say that, okay, write a story connecting the 4 images. So they want to see how creative you are, your extent of writing, your writing ability, your literary skills, that is, as well as your imagination. Because at the end of the day, you're getting into MICA, a temple for marketing, one of the best colleges for marketing. And marketing is all about imagination and talking about or expressing what you want to show or tell people. So both these aspects are going to be tested. That's the reason why you have this descriptive test. Then you have section C, which is the typical competitive exam aptitude test, which has something called as divergent and convergent thinking, verbal ability, quantitative ability, and data interpretation, DI, and general awareness. So it has GK2. So please keep in mind, these are the sections, and the total number of questions here will be 80. Okay. Well, that's what happens. The cutoff mark will be somewhere around 44 to 46 for MICAT. So that should be your target that you are going to go ahead with. It's going to have 1 mark positive, and of course there is going to be negative marking, so you can't randomly mark anything. Okay. QA and DLR, Vasundhara, frankly, last year MICAT, the DLR and QA were not easy. In fact, this is one exam which will have 8 options, 7 options. Guys, the option numbers, that's very unique about this exam. You can have 8 options and you can have more than one answer correct also. So all these kind of weird things happen in MICAT, and the questions are not easy. In fact, some of the questions last year we found to be difficult compared to even CAT. In fact, they were one level higher than what we expect in a CAT level exam. So MICAT used to be easy few years back, but last 1 or 2 years we have really seen the exam making a complete change. So you have to prepare quite a bit, and make sure that you're not taking it lightly. Okay, so you need to go seriously for this MICAT. It wasn't like that, but now it's a very serious exam you want to take, right? So Vasundhara, yes, Q and DLR are supposed to be difficult. I'll talk about that, Vasundhara. Arithmetic and algebra, yes, it's an arithmetic heavy paper if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Right, so what to prepare? As I said, psychometric test, don't worry about this, guys. You don't need to worry about this test at all. Just go ahead, read the question, mark and answer. Psychometry is nothing to do with calculation, nothing to do with English, nothing to do with logic. It's simple about what kind of a person you are and the questions based on that. What they try to extract the kind of personality you portray. Right, so that's the idea behind this test. So don't worry too much about it. You can't cheat the test. Ideally, that's how the psychometric tests are designed, and that is the reason why there will be 150 questions. In fact, if you give the psychometric test, you will realize that a lot of questions are similar in nature, but they will not come continuously. The first question might be similar to the 11th question, not exactly worded, but the meaning might be same. So they want to see how consistent you are. So if you go to the first question and mark, let's say C, then you go to the 12th question, which is similar, you mark D. There's something wrong, because in a similar question you're supposed to give a similar answer in terms of what type of a person you are. For example, if you say you are a person who expresses his displeasure to his friends easily, strongly agree, somewhat agree, does not agree at all, does not sometimes does not agree, or you disagree. So basically you're saying that how often do you tell your friends that you don't agree with them? Right, so there are 5 degrees that they'll talk about. Never, sometimes, sometimes yes, sometimes no, more times yes, and always yes. You have to pick one of the answers. Then they'll ask a similar question in a different way, and then they'll see whether the answer is consistent or not. So you can't cheat the test. Don't worry about cheating this part at all. Just go ahead and be yourself. That's good enough. Okay. And then there is this descriptive. I already explained to you what happens in a descriptive. You're supposed to type the answer, so don't worry too much about it. It's more about making sure that you are able to write and able to think, or creative. Get your creative juices flowing. That's what the descriptive is all about. But then we have the aptitude part, in which there is English. English will have grammar. It will have fill in the blanks, sentence correction, vocabulary. It will have RCs, it will have parajumbles, it will have spelling corrections. One or two of the exams which will ask you spelling corrections. SNAP will ask you spelling corrections. Even this particular exam will ask you spelling corrections. Spelling corrections usually do not come in CAT. It does not come in ZAT. It does not come in NMAT if I'm not mistaken. It does not come in a lot of other exams. But yes, SNAP and MICAT are these two exams where spelling corrections come in. Then you have so these are the total number of, or rather these are the total questions that come your way. And as I said, there are totally 80 questions. That is 20 questions per. So English 20, you'll be looking at 20 questions in quant and DI. You'll be looking at 20 GK. You'll be looking at 20 cognitive reasoning. Okay. Right, so the cutoff for this section would be around 9.5 to 10 marks. So that's what you need to score out of 20. So around halfway there. The next is maths. You're going to talk about arithmetic. It's going to be heavy on arithmetic. At least half the paper will be arithmetic. DI there'll be a set of 1 DI, which will be about 4 questions. Geometry could be around 2 to 3 questions, and the rest of them will, they can ask you 1 or 2 questions from the rest of the topics. The cutoff marks again is a halfway point, around 9 to 10 marks. So please make sure that you at least attempt half the paper. Again, don't try to attempt too many questions, because the questions are not supposed to be easy. At least that's my expectation for MICAT. But make sure that you pick the right questions and sit with them and solve it. Okay. Then we have convergent and divergent thinking. It's verbal reasoning, word association, assumption, conclusion. Basically, it is verbal logic. Okay, what is verbal logic? Critical reasoning, critical thinking, as strengthening an argument, weakening an argument. I'm sure you would be coming across these questions when you did your CAT preparation, although not for CAT, it is there in a lot of other exams. So this kind of, especially it comes in GMAT quite a bit. So the critical thinking part, this kind of a paper is what is called as cognitive and divergent thinking. You are expected to get at least half the paper right once again. Right, so and then you have non-verbal reasoning also in this. You have coding and decoding, roots and networks, you have visual reasoning, mirror images, water images, all these kind of questions can come to you in this particular section. Right? And then of course GK was difficult last year. It is expected to be difficult anyway for you guys because you not many of you read or follow news, unfortunately. I'll tell you why it is important for you to start following news from today, at least if you've not been doing till now, because exams like IIFT, ZAT, then you have this particular exam, all of them have, and especially TISSNET. I'll talk about TISSNET a little bit later, but all these exams have GK and you have to score. At least ZAT you don't have to score in GK, but the other three exams the GK matters and you can actually get some extra marks compared to the other students who are good in subjects but are weak in GK. Okay, and the cutoff here will be of course less than the other sections, will be around 77.5 marks. Right, the next exam is SNAP. As I said, it's going to happen twice. This paper structure is pretty easy and I like this exam. I call it a cute exam. The reason being that it gets over in 60 minutes. You know, you go in, you figure out what is happening and the exam is over. So you have exactly 60 minutes, no sectional time limit. You have 3 sections, 15 in English, 20 in Quant and DI, LR, data sufficiency DI, and you have analytical and logical reasoning, 25 questions. The paper is expected to be easy compared to CAT. In fact, compared to CAT, it will be 1 or 2 levels easily lower, not at all difficult. It's speed that matters. 60 questions, 60 minutes, that's your target. And if you're targeting any of the top colleges for SNAP, you should be looking at 45 as a target for you. And I'll show you what are the cutoffs expected for the top colleges of this particular exam. Okay. Now the question is, should you write more than once, because it's happening thrice. As I said, this is exactly copy pasted from what we found on the official website of SNAP. All this junket, my advice to you is very simple. If you can write, please write it twice, at least twice, if not thrice. Right? Write it twice unless you are very sure that your first exam went very well. Otherwise, write the second time. At least 2 times is what I will expect you to write. Okay? Alright. Rajat Kumar, the answer to your question is you have to do something great like Virat Kohli. Okay? I hope that answers your question. Let's move on. English. So the next exam is IIFT, I believe. I think the heading was missing. Yeah, so I think, let me see. No, this SNAP, sorry, my bad. We started with SNAP, right? Yeah. So continuing with SNAP, what is happening for English? The English has no RCs. That's a good part, because reading an RC in a 60 minutes exam is ridiculous. So they understood that. They are smart guys. At the end of the day, they are professors in one of the best institutes, the top 12-15 ranked institute, Symbiosis. I'm sure it's a good one. So they realize that 60 minutes giving an RC or even 2 RCs or 1 RC doesn't make sense, because students spend 7-8 minutes in the RC itself, irrespective of how good you are. Even the best of the students will take 7-8 minutes for an RC if there are 4 questions coming in. So that's the reason why there are no RCs. So you have grammar, fill in the blanks, you have active passive voice, parts of speech. So a lot about grammar based questions. So mostly students who prepare for CAT, they leave grammar. Students like me, when we prepared for CAT, we never bothered to deal with grammar at all, because we knew grammar was not going to come. But if you are looking at other exams, you have to get good in your grammar area. Then of course you have idioms and phrases, parajumbles, vocabulary, synonyms and antonyms, and English in SNAP will also have sentence corrections. So these are the topics that you need to prepare as far as SNAP is concerned. Okay. MBA CET की prep कब से होगी सर जी? विष्णु कसाबे, you will have to wait for MBA CET. There are a lot of other exams which are happening right now. So MBA CET will be happening a lot more later. That is basically MAH CET you're talking about, I believe. It will happen a little bit later. It will not happen anywhere before January at all. In fact, the notification is also not yet out, so there's no point starting the preparation right now for that, because there are a lot of other exams which are happening, right? The score, you should target around 9 marks in this particular section. Then you have analytical and logical reasoning. Once again, you have about 25 questions here. You can spend around 22 to 23 minutes. That's about out of 60 minutes, you're talking about 1/3 of your papers being spent here. Obviously, because there are 25 questions out of 60. You're talking about coding, decoding, number and letter series, direction sense, arrangements, linear and circular, syllogisms, and odd one out. You have a ton of topics coming your way as far as your analytical and logical reasoning go here. Right, your score here, this is a scoring section. It's easy, that's the reason I'm saying it's a scoring section. Try to get around 18, 19, that's a good job. English, trying to get around, out of 15, if you get around 9 to 10, that's a very good thing. But as far as your analytical reasoning goes, you should score 18 and 18 and above. Okay, that's my advice to you. And of course, then you have maths. You have a total of 20 questions in maths. Again, maths, you can still score the same score, still expect to score the same as far as LRDI is compared to LRDI, simply because this section is easy. So it's nowhere at CAT level, it's at a much more easier level. Normally students who are not even prepared right now can still get about 10-12 marks. If you're prepared, you can easily get 18 marks. There are a lot of students who get 20 out of 22. So make sure that you score as high as possible in quant. You will have P and C plus probability, DI, set theory, and of course 50% of the paper will be from arithmetic. SNAP is arithmetic heavy. Similarly, MICAT is also arithmetic heavy. All these exams, they favor arithmetic, including CAT. In fact, it's only ZAT exam which, if I remember correctly, where arithmetic will be given a lesser preference. In fact, ZAT will give you only 3 to 4 questions from arithmetic, not too many. But all other MBA entrance exams give you a lot of arithmetic questions. No, Nihar, not. In fact, there could be maximum one geometry. Otherwise, SNAP does not ask too much of geometry. In fact, last year I don't remember seeing even a single geometry question. Okay. Let's move on. So let's look at the best 2 colleges for this exam, SABM Pune and SCM-HRD. The cutoff scores will be somewhat like this: 42 to 44 for SABM Pune and about 40 to 42 for SCM-HRD. Again, both of them are excellent colleges. They would be ranking in the top 20 for sure. In fact, around 14 to 16 is what their range would be, I guess. And yes, you get in there, you will have a gala time. Moving on, the next exam is NMAT. It's already ongoing. I told you we have conducted a lot of sessions on NMAT already. But just to reiterate, there are going to be 3 sections: quant 36 questions, logical reasoning 36, and language skills 36. It's an adaptive exam. I'm not going to talk too much about this exam, simply because we have already done a lot of analysis of this exam. In fact, we have done the analysis for the exam already, because I have taken the exam. I have given the analysis for that, so you can look at that NMAT exam analysis if you want to get further information about it. But the whole idea is, this is an exam where speed matters. Okay, so your time limits are 52 minutes, 40 and 28 minutes respectively. So English will have 28 minutes only, your quant section will have 52, and your DILR or logical section will have 40 minutes. So you'll have to solve 36 questions in 52 minutes. Not an easy task, and you can't skip the question. The thing about NMAT is, it will not let you skip the question. So which means guaranteed you have to give an answer. You can't skip at all. And the other thing about this exam is, if you go to the question number 5, you can't go back again. So 5 means the first 4 are closed. You can't go back at all. You can only go forward. You can't come back. So it's an adaptive exam. Based on your answer for 5, whether it's correct or not, based on that, it'll give you the next question. So once the answer is given, the 6th question comes to you. Because of that, you can't go back again to the 5th question. Okay, that's what happens. Your target for NMAT, the best college, should be around 235 to 237 range. This is the bare minimum you should expect, or you should target. Okay, because that's what will be the expected cutoff for your NMIMS Mumbai. It will vary 3-4 marks every year here and there, but usually it does not go less than 235 to 234. That's your target mark, minimum, bare minimum. Now in English, you have reading comprehension, parajumbles, analogy, fill in the blanks, target score should be around 72 to 75. Anything above 75 is considered to be a good score. If you're looking at quant, you're looking at arithmetic. Again, it's an arithmetic decently heavy paper. Out of 36 questions, that is 1/3 of the paper. No, not 1/3 exactly. 10 out of 36. So that's about how much is that? 26% of the paper will be of arithmetic, which is not small. Again, you have data interpretation. Then you have number system, algebra, PNC, probability. In fact, this is one area, this is one exam where PNC probability comes quite a bit. So I don't think there's any other exam which asks you so many questions from PNC and probability. The next exam I can think of is ZAT. ZAT usually asks 3 to 4 questions overall, but in both the topics together. But here you can see probability and PNC together will give you around 6 to 8 questions. So this is one paper which has a lot of weightage for these two topics, and the questions will not be difficult at all. Okay, and then you have target scores should be around again 72 to 75, because the cutoffs will be in that range. 75 I think will be the cutoff depending upon the difficulty level of the paper. Then you have logical reasoning, once again the same cutoffs. Here this is analytical reasoning, input output, arrangement, Venn diagram, grouping, selections. Then you have verbal reasoning, that is statement, assumption, conclusion, decision making, a little bit of decision making, not as much as ZAT, but yeah, one odd question will come in. Argument types and syllogism questions also do come in. So you will be looking at getting a 75, 75, 75. That should be your target. That is 225, but that's not sufficient. 375 is 225, that is not sufficient. Your target is 235 and above. So somewhere you have to get that extra 10-12 marks. Okay, that's how you need to plan for your NMAT. Moving on, the cutoff, as I said, for NMIMS Mumbai will be somewhere in the range of 235 to 238. That's the expected cutoff. Next is IIFT happening on the 18th of December next month. This is an exam. Again, I like this exam and ZAT. Both these exams I like, and SNAP also I like, for the simple reason that there is no sectional time limit. So I can actually choose my exam strategy. I can decide where to spend how much of time. So it requires a lot more of strategizing than a simple CAT, because CAT says, look, whatever you do, I don't care. You have to spend 40 minutes in each section. So there's nothing much to strategize with except for what to do within the section. But here, an IIFT, a ZAT, a SNAP, you can decide how many minutes to spend on each section. Your strengths and weaknesses matter a lot, and it is relative sectional strengths and weaknesses. See, when I talk about CAT, I will just say, okay, you are weak in maths. If you are weak in let's say geometry, don't do it. So within maths, what is weak, what is strong? Here you have to compare your performance across sections. So if I say that you are good in English, I would say spend a bit more time in English so that you maximize your score. And if you are weak in something, try to do the minimum cutoff and get out of it. Don't waste your time, because you're going to end up making mistakes there. So that strategy is a lot more in these papers which do not have sectional time limit. That's the reason why I love such kind of papers. And of course, IIFT happens to be one of my favorite papers. It has quant 25 questions, reading comprehension 35. You have data interpretation and logical reasoning 30, and general awareness 20. So if you notice, there are 20 questions of GK adding up to 110. Last 3 years, the total number of questions have remained as 110. This year also, I'm expecting it to remain as 110. Although, please remember, there is a small caveat here. IIFT is known to change the paper pattern. There were years where they used to give 113 questions, 117 questions, all kind of odd random numbers used to be there. But over the last 2-3 years, they have stuck to this 110. So I'm expecting, hopefully this year also they'll stick to it. Okay. Yeah, so here each question will give you 3 marks and negative mark is 1. But only for GK, the positive is 1.5 and the negative is 0.5. Okay, now GK is going to be difficult for many of you if you have not practiced it or if you have not been following your current affairs. My recommendation for any of these exams is, starting from April 2022, start looking at what are the major events that have happened till at least November start. Till November, April to November, read all the things that have happened. Because if the paper is supposed to be there in December, normally we expect the paper to be ready by November mid. So at least April to November end, you should read all the major events that have happened, because that will come under current affairs for you. And you need to get a minimum cutoff in your IIFT, otherwise you will not qualify. Please keep that in mind. The quant again is going to be arithmetic, 6 to 8 questions. Geometry comes here quite a bit. You have number systems, algebra, modern math comes quite a bit here. Again, this is one exam which asks you PNC and probability and set theory also together. Then you have a cutoff of 14 to 16 marks in this particular section. English, the cutoff will be going around 29 to 32. English, the cutoff will go a bit higher because English is not very difficult in IIFT. People score quite a bit and it's 3 marks per question, right? So it's 29 to 30 basically means you're talking about 10 questions correct. So you can do that. There will be 16 questions of RC, grammar 3 to 4 questions, vocab 6 to 7 questions, match the following will be 2 to 3 questions, etymology will be around 5 questions. Okay? Moving on. Rupesh, I would minimum advice would be April to November. If you can do from January to November, that's fine. January to November, news. What are the major events that happened? Right? For example, if there is a Ukraine and Russia war going on, if there is any important date with respect to that, there is I don't know, if there are elections which are happening in, let's say you're talking about Twitter being taken over by Elon Musk. Are there any important dates with respect to that? Similarly, go back in time, look at the last 5-6 months. Are there any major events that have happened in the world which are worth mentioning? Any organizations that have been formed, or a G20 summit? When was it? When did it occur? Did it occur and who all went, or how many, when did it take place or which country hosted it, whatever, these kind of questions. So keep track of this for the last at least 6 months, April to November. I would be happy if you can start from January to November also. Okay? And yes, the next exam is ZAT. ZAT, as I said, is going to happen on 8th of January, and this is another exam which I love quite a bit, simply because there is no sectional time limit. So you have a total of 75 questions in 165 minutes, right? So 165, that's 2 hours 45 minutes. You have 26 questions in English and logical reasoning, but mostly it is English. Logical, I don't know whether even one set might come or that might also not come. It's mostly about verbal logic and verbal reasoning and English. You have decision making, 21 questions. We'll be doing a lot of sessions on decision making, so please stay tuned onto our channel. We will definitely have a lot of decision making sessions coming your way. Then we have quant and DI. I have 28 questions totaling around 75 in the entire paper. Then you have separately a GK and an essay writing paper. So GK will be 25 questions, 15 minutes, and essay writing will be 1 essay. They'll give you 2 essays, you have to choose one. One of the 2 you have to write, and that's 10 minutes. So this is a basic paper for ZAT. Now, one of the things which is unique about ZAT is, of course, the normal thing is +1 mark and -1/4. Everybody knows that there has to be some negative marking. But something unique about ZAT exam is after 8 questions are left, if you leave 8 questions, the 9th question onwards, you will be making a 0.1 mark negative. So 9th question onwards, every question you leave, you will be losing marks. So that's something that you have to be careful about as far as ZAT exam is concerned. But let's move on. English, as I said, it will be RC heavy. You will have 6 to 7 RCs, short RCs. In ZAT, the RCs will be for about 3 questions or so. Critical reasoning, grammar, parajumbles, vocab is not asked too much. In fact, CAT and ZAT, both exams don't ask too much of vocab. 50 minutes is a good time to spend in this particular section. Your target score should be 10 plus, because there will be sectional time limit in this. While there is, sectional cutoff. While there is no sectional time limit, there will be sectional cutoff. So you have to make sure that you get the minimum sectional score. So 10 to 11 marks minimum is your target in this particular section. Decision making, standard 7 sets, 3 questions per set, 7 3s are 21. That's how it has been. Over the last 5 years, you can see that decision making has shifted purely into decision from calculation based questions. So if you go back to 2016, 2015 papers, you will see some questions where calculations were required. But if you go back to the last 3 papers, that is this year that happened January 2022, 2021 and 2020, you will start noticing that the questions that have been asked in decision making will not require you to calculate anything. It's now your choice based on the scenario given to you, and no maths is required. So it's purely scenario based and answer based on the scenario given to you. Okay, that's how it is. Your target should be around 9 to 10 marks, especially if you're looking at HR program, then decision making, they will expect something like a 10 score. So your 9 to 10 should be your minimum target for your decision making. Then you have, of course, maths. The target score should be around 12 marks because, again, if you're looking at HR, the maths requirement will be slightly less. It will be around 10 marks or so. If you're looking at the business management program of theirs, then the target score will be definitely about 12 to 13 in that range. So you're looking at 9 to 12 from DI. Then they'll be remaining from quant. So out of the 26 questions that we spoke about, around 9 to 12. So there could be 2 or 3 sets, 3 to 4 sets coming to you. Each set is for 3 questions in DI. So 3 3s are 9 or 3 4s are 12. That could happen anywhere between 3 to 4 sets is expected. And the remaining questions from quant. Arithmetic could be around 3 to 4. Geometry 2 to 3. Number system 6 to 7. Algebra around 3 to 4. And PNC, probability Venn diagram, will be asked quite a bit in your ZAT. You should be spending the maximum time in this section unless this is your weak area and your scoring area is decision making and English. But otherwise, for normal maths guys, I would say finish off your English as soon as possible. Decision making should not take you more than 40 minutes or so. 35-40. In fact, I would say take 35 minutes max and decision making, move on. And spend the maximum time in quant and maximize your score. The overall cutoffs, GK does not have any score per se. 8 to 9 out of the 25 questions that come to you is decent in GK, but it will not be used for your interview call. So don't worry about it. And of course, there is no negative mark in your GK, so please attempt all. For XLRI, the targeted score, there are 2 parts, as I said. Business management is a course and human resource management, HRM, is another course. Both of them are from XLRI Jamshedpur. For your business management, the range will be 34 to 36. The breakup would be around 9, 9, 11 cutoffs. And your human resource management will be around 31 to 33. This is English, this is decision making, and this is quant. Okay, so English, decision making, and quant. So you can see the English requirement for HR always is 1 mark higher than your requirement for BM. But the decision making here could be either same or it would be slightly higher on the side of your business management course. And quant definitely will be 1-2 marks higher than your requirement of your HR. Right? So 2 or 3 marks, I will not be surprised. And the overall will be 31 to 33 here and about 34 to 36 marks. So keep a target of about 36 and above as far as your ZAT is concerned. Moving on, TISSNET, we still don't know. There's no notification for TISSNET as far as the exam is concerned. But yeah, the paper pattern is quite standard. There are 3 sections and there is no sectional time limit. A total of 100 minutes, 100 questions. English 30, maths 30, and this is the dreaded area, GK 40 questions. Now please understand, the cutoff for this particular exam to get into the TISS top 2 programs will be 80 to 84 marks. Now do a simple math. Even if you are perfect in your aptitude, you will get this 30 out of 30, you will get this 30 out of 30. You got your 60 marks. You still need 24 marks more. And those 24 have to come from your GK. Now imagine how many of you can answer 24 questions correctly out of 40 GK questions if I ask you right now. So that is where the problem comes for TISSNET. Most of the students who are excellent in CAT end up failing in TISSNET simply because they can't get that 24 questions in TISSNET. So if you're serious about TISSNET, you have to give a lot of preparation for TISS GK, the current affairs GK. Okay, so because this exam is going to happen somewhere in February, I would say the current affairs from March, April of 2022 to probably about January of 23. So there will be a lot of things that you have to cover as far as the exam is concerned. Okay, you're going to have, there will be a TISSNET exam for people who qualify into TISSNET for their programs called MA in HRM and ODCL needs TISSNET. So if you want to get into these programs, you have to write a second exam which is called TISSNET. And TISSNET has again a total of 65 minutes, 46 questions. Comprehension is 15, DI is 15, business awareness, again a form of GK, is 15, and 1 descriptive question for 35 minutes. This is your TISSNET exam. This is for students who want to get into these 2 programs, not for everyone. Okay, because the TISS college has a lot of programs. For any program, first you have to write TISSNET. For these 2 specific programs mentioned, you have to write the second exam, which is TISSNET also. Okay, comprehension is RC, 2 RCs, 12 to 13 minutes is good. If you're talking about DILR, it's again going to be easy. Guys, TISS, you don't have to worry. The English and DILR quant is easy. you can crack it easily. The problem is GK, so focus on that. Similarly for TISSNET, it is business awareness which is problematic. Focus on that. And of course, mostly business related, not more than 5 minutes. It's just you either know the answer or you don't know the answer. It's GK of business. You answer it and get out. So 26 should be your overall target in your TISSNET. Right? So guys, that brings me to the end of the session. I hope I've been able to talk about the exams that are upcoming and what is the paper pattern and what should be the target for you. I hope this gives you a clarity on the next couple of months. We'll be having a lot of sessions, as I said. So please subscribe to our channel, both on Instagram as well as on YouTube. Click on the notification icon so that you get information about all the sessions we have planned. We have got a ton of sessions coming your way. All the very, very best, my friends. See you in the next one.